Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach scheduled to have a rematch sometime this summer, maybe early fall. All indications, based on the announcements that we have, is that the fight is more than likely going to happen in August, right?
And Gervonta, you think?
I like Lamont in the rematch.
You were one of the few that kind of picked Lamont to
beat his ass.
You can't do wait.
For real. I bet be quiet.
I don't give a f***. Y'all was quiet. Y'all, if y'all was loud.
We got wood over there. Like, twist it up. I don't give a f*** about none of that.
The rematch is official, and both Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach had a fiery interview where tempers flared. They traded bold words, and the tension was clear. Davis spoke with swagger, while Roach made it clear he's not backing down. The rematch between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach is set, and fans are excited for a different result than the first time. Rumors are flying about when the fight will happen, with many hoping for an August date, though some worry it may be delayed until October, which would be a letdown. A confirmed date and announcement would finally end all the guessing.
Match in July, you would think, makes the most sense that Tank and Roach are fighting in August. Unless they talking about pushing the shit all the way back to October, which would be a fucking tragedy. So, we hoping for August, because that's the one that's probably gonna make the most sense. Hopefully we'll get an announcement soon on that so we can stop speculating. Now, with that being said, the Tank Davis-Lamont Roach rematch, it will be nothing like the first fight. And I'm tired of people telling me that, oh, Tank can't do nothing different. Lamont Roach just got his number. He fought the same that he always fight. Really. History shows us that that's never the case. As a matter of fact, we got Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur just fought. I'll go to recent history.
This time, the rematch won't be like the first fight. Saying Tank Davis can't change or that Lamont Roach has figured him out isn't true. History proves fighters adjust, and Tank, being a top pound-for-pound talent, will show up with new game plans. Roach is very skilled too, and this fight will bring out their best. Those who expect Roach to do exactly what he did last time are mistaken. Boxing is unpredictable, and things can shift in a moment. With elite fighters like Tank and Roach, the rematch will look completely different, and fans are in for a war. Lamont Peterson spoke about Gervonta Davis's power, saying Tank hits hard but isn't the hardest puncher he's faced. Lamont said Tank's shots are strong but don't match the power of Jonathan Oendo, a fighter he once faced. Lamont said Oendo's punches were the hardest he's ever felt. He explained how their power felt different, saying Tank's shots are heavy, but Oendo's had a deeper kind of force that stood out. His thoughts show the kinds of punchers he's faced, and how power can vary even among top boxers. Despite Tank's fame for knockouts, Lamont's story shows that others have tested his toughness in bigger ways.
He fight how he always fight. He looked how he always looked in every single fight. Sadly mistaken. This idea that, oh, Lamont Roach he just got Tank number. He gonna fight like that again in the second fight. He could do this, he could do that, bro. Y'all are sadly mistaken if you think the second fight is gonna play out anything like the first fight, bro. It's not gonna go that way. Specifically when you fighting at the high level, bro. The highs are high levels. When you got a pound-for-pound talent in there like Tank Davis, a really great talented fighter that's skilled, that got everything that you could have, and you got somebody like Lamont Roach who's a very good fighter himself. It ain't gonna go down like that because the fight game, bro.
Shocker Stevenson has recently called out Lamont Peterson for a rematch, feeling very confident about his chances this time. Shocker said he had sparred with Lamont before, which gave him a good read on how he fights. He believes that experience gives him a strong edge in their next matchup. Shocker is sure that what he learned from those sessions will help him outbox Lamont and win. While Lamont is a seasoned and skilled veteran, Shocker thinks his deep knowledge of Lamont's strengths and flaws puts him in a great position. He believes that even with all of Lamont's experience, he can take advantage of those weak spots and prove he has what it takes to win in their second fight. Shocker wants to show how much he's grown and improved, proving that he's now ready to face Lamont again and come out with the win.
What does the rematch look like between Lamont and Gervonta, you think?
I like Lamont in the rematch.
You were one of the few that kind of picked Lamont to begin with. Why was that?
I sparred with Lamont. I knew that he was a good fighter. He helped me get ready for the Oscar Valdez fight. And I knew his style with Tank's style, what he was going to be able to bring to the table. I knew it. So,
did you really win 20 rounds?
I swear to God, on my daughter's life, I won. that much money.
How different does a rematch look in your opinion, Shakur? What adjustments do you think we see from both?
Huh?
What adjustments do we see from both in a rematch?
I think I can't tell you game plans. I could be fighting these guys, so I'm gonna keep my secrets to myself. But truthfully, they both good fighters.
Do you think it's a lot different rematch, or do you think it'll be close again?
It's gonna be a hell of a fight.
How did you see Tank in that fight? A lot of people are saying maybe he's just mentally not there. What did you see?
Nah, he was the same Tank. I don't believe that. I don't got no thought in my brain that makes me think that he wasn't the person he been all of these other fights. I think he was the same person. All this stuff that he going through stuff. I mean, everybody go through stuff. So he's the same fighter. He's gonna be the same fighter throughout his career. So
His comments show how serious and ready he is to face the challenge, aiming to silence those who doubt he can compete at the highest level. The rematch talk has caught fans' attention, and many are excited to see if Shocker can back up his own. Bold words. Some people think Lamont Roach gained a big boost after getting a draw against Gervonta Davis, something no one had done before. It's key to think about how this changed his place in the boxing world. Before the Tank fight, Lamont wasn't very well known, but the draw pushed him into the spotlight, getting fans and experts to notice him. That surprise result earned Roach more respect and showed he can go toe-to-toe with top fighters. For Tank, this raises the stakes in their next fight. He knows now that Lamont is a serious challenge and won't be taking him lightly. The draw proved Roach can give Tank trouble, and this time, Tank won't take any chances. It won't be the same as before. Tank is focused on proving he's learned from last time and is fully ready to show his dominance in the ring. Lamont Roach has now confirmed the rematch with Tank Davis is a done deal, and this time, Roach is coming in with more fire than ever. Thinking back on their first fight, he strongly believes the decision was unfair and he was denied a real win. Now, he's fired up to prove something in the rematch. Roach wants to show he's grown, learned from the past, and is prepared to win this time.
I don't know, might be there a little longer.
Well, what we did see, is it gonna be a rematch, or y'all still working on it, or what's the plan?
It's gonna be a rematch.
But it's
9
not
times out of 10.
sealed to deliver.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm signed the seal.
Okay.
So we waiting on the other half. That's all.
Okay. Cool.
I like when people say that my part is done.
Yeah, I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Roach's training camp is locked in on fixing the mistakes he made in their last fight. He's sharpening his skills and coming in with a smarter game plan for a better showing. Though he's moving up in weight for the rematch, he's still sure he can handle Davis's famous punching power. Roach has studied Tank's flaws in detail and plans to use them against him in the ring. He's not scared of Davis's power or his name instead. He sees this as a perfect chance to prove how far he's come. With new confidence and a sharp focus, Roach believes he now has what it takes to shock the world and win. The rematch has fans buzzing, and many want to see if Roach can really flip the script and win the fight he feels he should have won the first time in their first bout. Lamont Roach pointed out a major problem in Gervonta Davis's career path for years. Tank had been criticized for picking opponents that fit his style and dodging tougher fights. That plan kept him unbeaten and in control. But Roach broke that pattern by showing up disciplined and fully ready. He didn't let Tank's usual moves shake him and wasn't scared of Davis's hype. Roach stuck to a smart strategy that made Tank step out of his usual comfort zone. This fight showed Tank wasn't untouchable and couldn't always rely on picking the easier route. Roach proved that with solid prep and a strong mindset, even a top-tier fighter like Tank could be pushed hard. It was clear that Tank's usual plan doesn't work as well against a tough and well-rounded opponent.
That fight with Tank and Lamont Roach shows y'all how protected Tank has been for the past several years. And the people saying, oh, Tank know Lamont and he disrespected Lamont because they fought in the amateurs, man, he was cherry picking Lamont, and really thought he was gonna get that win. But Lamont wasn't coming to play around. He stood his ground and fought back. And to be honest, he won the fight. The rematch is gonna be a knockout.
Jaron Ennis recently shared his thoughts on how people reacted to Gervonta Davis's performance, pointing out how public opinion often shapes how fights are viewed. He said fans are quick to criticize Tank, but often miss how well he did in the early rounds. Ennis explained that Tank looked sharp at the start, using his skills and movement to frustrate his opponent. But as the fight went on and Tank faced more challenges, some fans focused only on the negatives. Ennis suggested that a lot of the criticism Tank gets might come from personal bias, rather than a fair look at the fight. He thinks many fans expected a knockout, especially against someone like Lamont Peterson, who's good but doesn't have the fame of boxing's biggest stars. Ennis said fans might be blowing things out of proportion because they wanted to see Tank win in more dominant fashion, even with all the different opinions on the outcome. Ennis said both fighters did well. He scored at 75-75 or possibly a draw, saying that while Lamont looked strong, he didn't quite do enough to clearly win. Ennis's words show how tricky it can be to judge boxing fairly, since fans' opinions can often get in the way of seeing a fighter's true performance. The talk around Tank's showing is a good reminder that bias can often cloud how people view sports.
Yeah, you know I gotta ask you about fights. Gervonta Davis, draw with Lamont Roach. People looking at it as controversial because of the whole knee. What'd you think of the fight?
It was a great fight. You know, I had it 7-5 Tank, or you can make it the draw. But I feel like Lamont, he did good. He did a great job, actually. You know, I just don't think he did enough to pull it off. You know, and I feel like people was overlooking what Tank was doing in the first like 5-6 rounds. You know, he was like boxing and frustrating him a little bit. You know, but Lamont, like I said before, Lamont did a great job. You know.
Yeah, some people had it Tank, some people had it draw, some people had it Lamont. Do you think Tank gets a lot of criticism for not knocking Lamont out and Lamont not being in big names, so they overblow it?
I think so, yeah, and I feel like people just don't like Tank to a point where any little thing, just because he ain't knock him out, he probably feel as though that he lost, and he didn't, or it was a draw, you know. I feel like Tank was doing a lot of smart things in the beginning, moving a little bit too much, but I feel like he was still like frustrating him and things like that. And I think Tank did a good job. Like, he looked sharp than me. You know, I don't know. People just be talking. You know, at the end of the day, you can't please everybody.
Roy Jones Jr., a boxing legend, spoke about the fight between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, praising Roach's skill and experience. He said Roach isn't someone you can overlook. Having known him for a long time, Jones knows how dedicated Roach is to the sport. He believes Roach has always had the talent to fight at the top level, and his performance against Tank just proved it again. Jones said that even though Tank Davis is expected to win, this fight is far from easy. Roach isn't just any opponent, he's been around Tank for years, and that shared history makes things more interesting. Jones warned people not to take Roach lightly, saying he knows Tank's strengths and weaknesses better than most. That inside knowledge, according to Jones, could play a big role in the rematch. While he didn't say who would win, Jones made it clear that Roach is not someone to brush off. He's shown that he belongs in the ring with the best and can be a real threat. Jones also said people shouldn't look too far ahead. He believes all the focus should be on the upcoming fight, with Roach instead of thinking about Tank's future matches. For Jones, this fight is a major test for Tank that he must pass before planning what's next.
You told him peace? You know, told him peace. No, you said something else.
Yeah, you got a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, first thing we got to ask you what you think about this fight, champ.
I think it's a great fight. Two great guys. I think Roach is a great formidable opponent. Tomorrow, Tank gonna test his Tank and see how good he is in the late round.
Presumably, Tank is supposed to, win this fight. This is a fight that there's not a lot of doubt about him coming out victorious in. So the talk shifts, and we got to know, Roy, from your perspective, Tank Shakur, when you think about that fight being a potential fight this year, how do you see it going?
I ain't gonna really think about that yet because I'm waiting after he finishes this fight with Roach. Roach is not just your average everyday opponent. Roach is a person who knows Tank, who's been around Tank his whole life. This is a different fight. You can't put Roach to the side like that. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to win the fight. I don't know that. But Roach cannot be this underrated like that. You understand? You got to understand that Roach came from basically the same ecosystem as Tank came from. Roach is a very formidable opponent. So I'm not gonna talk about none of that till we get found real. Because what I'm telling you about the other stuff don't really mean that right now.
Okay, let me ask you this. This did happen.
I'm feeling good always. How you doing?
I'm always good. You're a special fighter. Tank's a special fighter. What do you like about him? What makes him different?
I like that when Tank come to fight, Tank come to knock you out. Tank don't come to just beat you by decision. He come to take you out. He come to try to get the job done best way he can. And he loves to come there and entertain the fans. He's not there to play around. He's trying to smoke you. And that's what life's supposed to be about.
There's worry that Tank Davis might run into problems ahead of his rematch because of behind-the-scenes business moves meant to slow him down. Turkey Alal Sheikh pointed out that some people are trying to block Tank from getting a venue for the fight, especially in Houston. Alal Sheikh said there are reports of rivals planning other events at the same time or nearby to mess with Tank's fight. This kind of tactic is pretty common in boxing, where competitors sometimes try to mess up an opponent's event to lower ticket sales and hurt the turnout.
I said that the reason that Gervonta Davis is having a problem is because people are trying to compete and block the venue. I said that people had told me that there were people that were trying to counter-program Gervonta Davis in Houston for that fight, right? That's what I had said then. And that was something that I was like, yeah, it kind of seems like that. And why would I believe that? I would believe that, and I would believe that that would be true because that's a standard business practice in boxing. And it's a standard business practice in music. Now, it may be an underhanded one, but it is still one when you block venues or when you put on an event right next to that event on the same weekend. You can, or if you you have a venue, make sure I say this very specifically, if you have a venue that you usually use and they just keep competing for every single solitary weekend, right? That's a way where you keep your competitors from being able to get a foothold and you start trying to crumble their business. Also, people have done that for boxers before, except for they did it informally, which is called doing what? Blackballing you. If you do not fight for a certain promoter, then that promoter is going to go out of their way to try to make sure that you don't have any fights. That's called blackballing. Similar to NBA basketball players, that's called blackballing.
This kind of strategy isn't just used in boxing. It also shows up in industries like music. The goal is to stop a rival from drawing big crowds or getting attention by holding a competing event at the same time. It's a form of business sabotage. Even though it may not seem fair, a lot of people use this trick in the industry. The idea is to shut down or block a rival's success by keeping them out of key venues or pulling fans away with other shows. These shady tactics add extra stress for fighters like Tank Davis and make it harder to carry out their plans and get the most from promotions. While it's seen as normal in some circles, it brings even more pressure to the already tough world of pro boxing. If Tank wants a smooth road to victory, he might have to deal with these added hurdles first.
Except for they did it informally, which is called doing what? Blackballing you. If you do not fight for a certain promoter, then that promoter is going to go out of their way to try to make sure that you don't have any fights. That's called blackballing. Similar to NBA basketball players, that's called blackballing. When you have somebody like Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and Mahmoud Abdul Rauf is a great player, but you don't like his religion. So what do? You blackball him. You put him on the bench. You cut him. When people he tries out for new teams, nobody wants to even give him a tryout, right? Got to go play overseas or something because you get blackballed. So what Knockout Boxing TV said, Knockout Boxing 86 TV said, was that his sources told him that Turkey, and he didn't say the specifics as long as I got into the video, but they're trying to stop Gervonta for having other fights, getting in the middle of the fights.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next.